HERMIT. Another trainer-style Melander biped, but this one's at least a bit more imaginative than that of Iguazu's. The frame and booster stays the same, but the generator is among the worst in the game. The capacity is smaller than my capacity for independent thinking. You'd think the high recharge specs be a positive, but it still takes a really long time to recover the little energy you just spent, and I don't know what attribute causes this. It's probably the worst generator in the game, and it really limits your mobility. If you manage to stay within the constraints, this doesn't feel all that different from Trainer. The FCS is the Abbot, which seems like a decent pick given the weaponry, but I'm not sure if missile lock correction time wouldn't be more useful here. I also think this preset would benefit a lot from assault armor, as its punishers aren't that powerful. So let's talk about the weaponry. The Ducat pistol surprised me with its practicality and impact output. It feels pretty similar to our linear rifle while being a little bit more powerful, but having much worse range. It really can lay on some serious ACS strain despite its small size. The other handheld weapon is the... Holy fuck. It's a bazooka on the lighter side, and it feels quite good to use. It doesn't lack in damage or impact, the firing animation is pleasantly fast, the ammo capacity is abnormally high, and the reload time makes it easy to spam. It's an alright ranged punisher. The other two weapons are less impressive though. The 6-cell missile launcher is similarly practical to the 4-cell variant, and the single-split missile launcher deals decent damage. However, they don't track targets very well. Some enemies will just be dodging all of them. Furthermore, they work best at the mid-range, while the pistol requires you to get in up close. This results in an awkward tug of war, where you must hover around the flipping point, back off when the missiles are ready, and move in when they're reloading. The impact output is strong, but the total damage leaves a lot to be desired. The awkward range interplay, the weak tracking of 2 of your 4 weapons, and the abysmal generator makes this AC fun to use, but underwhelming overall. Burn Pickaxe. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Another Basho Kikaku based AC, with very bad everything. I mean, just look at those sliders. It's like the worst of all possible worlds combined into one. This machine is bad to use in all possible aspects. The best part is probably the little gem. Still fairly weak, still requires stance, but still somehow the most powerful weapon available. The Etsujin is middling as ever, and the 4-cell vertical missile launcher struggles to hit anything. And even when it does, I almost just want to tell it shouldn't have bothered. Both hand weapons will be necessary to properly stagger enemies, and the Punisher is left up to your imagination, because everything is bad. What else can I even say here? There really are no redeeming qualities to this AC. It's quite similar to UEU, and not much better. At least it's not as big of a pain in the ass. My patience for bad ACs was wearing thin, and I sometimes struggled to motivate myself to keep playing. However, once I did, I couldn't set the game down. Every challenge felt surmountable, and it always felt like victory was just within my grasp. If you want to do a challenge run with a really bad AC preset, while still feeling fun, Burn Pickaxe is my best recommendation so far. Mad Stomp. This is it. This is as low as it's going to get. The rock bottomest to ever rock bottom. I just realized what I said. Do you think Romy is a bottom? I think he's a bottom. The man, the myth, the legend, Invincible Romy, is here to show us how to make bad ACs. And you know what? He's a meme. But this preset is somehow far from the worst. I know it seems like I'm being contrarian for the sake of it. I mean, just look at the assembly. The Sweet 16, which is the worst shotgun in the game, having atrocious range and reload time, is our only firearm. The powerful but unwieldy chainsaw, a heavyweight set with terrible mobility, an utterly useless generator, FCS firearm spec, and booster. And yet, somehow, there's a method to this madness. You see, this AC is surprisingly good at destroying other ACs, and similarly small but durable targets. The chainsaw's alternate attack thrusts it inside of an enemy, stun-locking them for a moment before delivering a powerful finisher. This sequence is almost guaranteed to stagger anything, and then you can punish it with a meat shot from the shotgun, along with a kick. It's not as potent a combo as from the laser slicer, but still far more damaging than what many other presets have to offer. It all comes down to if you can connect that initial charged thrust. Trapping an enemy in a corner is very helpful to this end, as some of them have a very evasive AI. Beyond that, you really don't have anything else to work with. Trying to stagger the enemy with just the Sweet 16 and kicks for a chainsaw punisher is possible, and I had to do so for many of the bigger bosses, such as the Enforcer. However, if that's what your intention is, basically any other preset is going to be better for this purpose. The terrible FCS, firearm spec, fire rate, and range of the weapon make it extremely difficult to reliably build stagger. Now look, Mad Stomp is awful. It's the only preset in this game to have just 2 of 4 possible equipped units. Slapping on absolutely anything on the back, even a shield, will be an objective improvement. The internals alone are bottom tier, and the preset lacks everything: mobility, targeting, flexibility. It's a one-trick pony. However, it does this one trick hilariously well. It's shocking how many roadblocks in this game were absolute nothing burgers with this preset. Chartreuse is an arena opponent that many presets struggle against, at least in my hands. She has unparalleled damage output, and the Pulse Armor expansion lets her shed stagger at critical moments during the fight. Still, I beat her first try with Mad Stomp. I remember struggling like hell against the Ibis series while using the Institute AC, questioning if it's even possible, and now it went down within just a few tries. When making the final choice for the ending, I skipped ahead to see if Air or Snail Teus would be harder, and I somehow beat the Coral Waifu first try, a boss that took Cannon Head 2 entire days to beat. I am extremely conflicted as to where to put this AC. On one hand, I don't think I've ever laughed this hard while making this series. This challenge run was even more fun than Burn Pickaxe. However, after all that, I strapped on the final preset to be judged, Loader 4. The speed at which I was mowing down hordes of MTs in the beginning missions reminded me of what I'm missing out on. Spoiler alert, but this is a very below average preset, and it already felt leagues above Mad Stomp. I also have to compare this mech to what it could have been. One easy adjustment to make with no concessions would be to put Basho arms on this thing, as this would rocket up the melee spec from one of the worst to the very best. It's also missing out on half of all possible equipped weapons. Even if the back had just 2 4-cell missile launchers and the shotgun swapped out for a Zimmerman, this would have easily been at least a C-tier preset, and that's not even getting into considerations of Songbirds, earshots, plasma missiles, Ransetsu's linear rifles, etc. In the end, I cannot put it anywhere but where we all expected it to be. Loader 4. With all the arena components. With all the arena opponents behind us, there is one more preset to go over, and it's pretty poetic. This is the one we're ending with. 394 hours of playtime ago, this is the preset I, just as any other Armored Core 6 player, crash landed onto Rubicon within. It's the starter mech, and it's about as effective as can be expected, given this information. It's terrible in almost all aspects, and that's the point. The game needs to give us way to escalate the intensity and stakes by letting us progressively evolve our AC throughout the game into a destructive machine of war. The arsenal is dog water, to say the least. While I sung the praises of the assault rifle just a few paragraphs ago, the only reason it felt so effective was due to the fast fire rate. Beyond that, the damage and impact output is barely sufficient to maintain the stagger bar, and even when you combine it with the basic bitch 4-cell missile launcher, ACS overload will be a distant memory for hardier foes, like other ACs or bosses. You have to use the pulse plate proactively to aid in this effort, as it's easily the most powerful weapon on this machine. As a Punisher, it's alright, but I felt unimpressed after coming here straight from the chainsaw. The low melee spec on the arms could also really use a workout. And speaking of the frame, it's below average at best. The sliders barely hit anything close to halfway there. The total AP is around 9k, and the stability is meager as well, for such a weak mobility. The internals all have very weak specs as well, so not much to say here. What I found interesting is that the descriptions of almost all of the parts on this AC make mention of their low energy requirement. I don't know what this says about Walter and or 6-1, that this was their priority when designing the machine. Anyway, it's bad, and that's the point. More practical than many of the lower tier presets, but seriously lacking in damage output. Also does not reach the mobility of any of the similarly fragile ACs, such as Tsubasa. Right, that's all of them. All 42 presets in Armored Core 6. I was very glad when I finished playing with them. Many of them just aren't very fun to play. Many of them are very impractical. They feel like some random number generator just picked the parts. They don't seem to work very well. I'm surprised I managed to beat the game with presets such as Burn Pickaxe or Mad Stomp. The fact that the only one I skipped over and I didn't beat the game with was UU, I think that is kind of impressive. I suppose I have to somehow pick favorites now, and well, I only have 2 presets in S tier. Entangle is Sula's preset, and that, I don't know why, but I just could not put the game down when I was playing with this preset. I think this might have been the most fun preset to play with. I just really like the weapon selection. It feels like a generic biped to use, but it's not. The weaponry is just so weird and special, and I think that's why I like it so much. And then Steel Haze, just, it's, you know, rusty, like, it just feels so good to use. It feels, when you bought the game and thought to yourself, I'm gonna make a lightweight preset, then Steel Haze is what you wanted it to feel like, basically. It's so fast, it's so nippy, like the quick boosts are just crazy. You're almost teleporting around with those quick boosts, and the weaponry feels very well designed. There's a very good synergy there with 2 kinetic guns doing the stagger, and then you have the laser slicer punish, and then you can even do an assault armor punish. Very effective. I think that's the most effective preset, so the most fun one to play as would be Entangle, and then Steel Haze is probably the best one to actually use. And when it comes to worst, well, UU, I mean, what can I say? It's easily the worst preset to use. Like, regardless of how effective it is, it's just such a nightmare. Having to stop to deal any damage is awful. It's so terrible. It's the only preset that made me just not want to play the game. Even like I said, Burn Pickaxe, Mad Stomp, I could not set the game down, because even though they were awful, they had their sort of quirks and stuff. And when I was coming up against the boss, I always felt like I could just do it if I put my all to it. But UEU is just... you keep trying to fire these grenades and you stand still, you fire one, you fire the other, and you've probably still not staggered the enemy and not dealt much damage, and before you know it, you've just taken a huge amount of damage sitting out in the open while firing those grenades. And I mean, I've already expressed my frustration about this. It's awful, it's terrible. I feel like maybe I could do it. Like, I beat the game with every single other preset, so surely UEU should also be possible, but I just don't want to do it. It's so frustrating, it's so boring that I'll never do it. I just don't want to. I feel like a much better player having tried all these 8 presets, and I recommend trying out at least a few of them, even the shitty ones. Like, some of them are quite fun to use. HERMIT, for example, I don't know why, but I was just really looking forward to that one, and when I played it, it was good. I don't know why, I just had fun. Like, the pistol is surprisingly effective, and I knew it was effective, but I kind of forgot how good it really was, and it just kind of synergizes pretty well with the rest of the weapons. Even though the AC is pretty bad, but I had fun, and I was looking forward to trying it. And similar to No-Sac, like the laser pistol, also fun weapon to use. Maeterlinck, 2 pulse guns, baller, right? It's cool, I recommend trying some of them. 42 presets. Yeah, that's a lot of them. Thanks for watching, and I don't know what I'm going to be putting my time towards now, because that was a lot of time put into this series of challenge runs. Thanks for watching, bye bye.